Hello everyone and welcome back. So, recently we got the confirmation that they're going to make Boris Todbringer fully playable. He's already been in game for quite some time now, but they're giving him a new model, and obviously they're going to give him mechanics and the rest alongside his brand new DLC in Lords of the End Times. That's all great, but it's made me think about some other big name Imperial characters that are still not represented just yet. Characters which really should have been in game by now, especially since this is a 10-year-old series. So let's discuss some really important dudes. A quick heads up, for the purpose of this video, I'm likely not going to discuss the R. Ulrich. That's mostly because Creative Assembly did that whole, teaser, what may come rumor engine thing. And yeah, that kind of looks like the R. Ulrich. I don't think this character's too important to discuss today, unless they do a massive fake out and it ends up being Vulcan, to which I'll be mad. But yeah, so let's talk about Marius Leitdorf. This is one of my favorite characters of all time. He's dead in the lore technically because he dies in the one of the battles of Blackfire Pass, but keep in mind that Creative Assembly have their own active timeline, which generally means that characters can be alive even when they're long dead. Vlad and Isabella, for example, with Vlad and Isabella being revived during the end times, or other characters like Grom. So this character is just out there. The best way to explain Marius Leitdorf would be Sheogorath from the Elder Scrolls. Think someone completely insane with very massive swings throughout mania in general. People see him as very eclectic, but also quite charming depending on who you may be. If you're a noblewoman at court, yeah, he's going to try and court you. If you're the husband of said noblewoman, well, you're not really going to like him too much. Now, you'd see him as a bit of a goof in some ways. Many people call him unconventional, and you'd think others would try to expel him from court. But that's not the case. You see, Marius Leitdorf, despite how eccentric he may be, I think it's probably the best word of saying, he is an incredibly proficient fighter and an incredibly skilled military tactician, meaning that he's been able to lead forces of Avalanche into various wars against greenskins or even rampaging undead and come out pretty successful. He was the first character to come out in support of Karl Franz, as the Elector counts, not including, his usual supporters. And I think that's cool. At the end of the day, even though the character is a bit out there, he always knows what's right. Now, that's not to say that this character isn't, a bit weird, considering that he's declared war on a river before. He is likely kind of tainted by chaos, but not in the way of actual being a chaos supporter, more so that some things got some influence on him. But the reason why I really like this character is he's so incredibly petty. He doesn't like Kurt Helborg, for example. So his horse is called Daisy Kurt von Hellboring II, as a jab towards Helborg, and I find that really humorous. He's a great character. He's got one of the best models. I've got him and I plan to use him as my lord for the old world, as my Empire army is based on an Avalanche paint scheme, because I've always really enjoyed the Avalanche style, even though black and yellow is a massive pain to paint. He's cool because, he uses his Runefang to fight, but also uses a long dagger as his offhand, so he fights with an additional hand weapon rather than the typical sword and shield that most characters are seen with. It'd be cool to see him. I'm still holding out hope that one day Creative Assembly will do a character pack, called Summon the Elector Counts, which is literally just the last remaining Electors. And I might do a video on all the Electors at some point. I know it's not the most important thing to some people, but the fact of the matter is each of the electoral provinces should have their actual specific legendary lord rather than a generic character. It's kind of immersion breaking, and there's so much that could be done there. A bunch of them exist with their own models, whereas some mostly have art, but it's still doable. But yeah, Marius is one of those characters I've always wanted, and I really hope Creative Assembly don't forget that he exists, because he's a gem. Alright, Kurt Helborg is next. Another character which is weird that he isn't in-game yet. The Reichsmarshal, the Hand of Vengeance. Hell, he's got so many titles, it's absolutely wild. But Kurt Helborg is a just given. He has to be included at some point. He is one of Karl Franz's loyal defenders. He leads the Reichsguard, which, at some point it would be great if we started getting, chapter masters and the rest, especially as we're getting more and more knightly orders introduced into the game, with the Knights Panther being confirmed for the Lords of the End Times. And not only that, but he's shown up in quite a lot of areas, right? Like he showed up in the Storm of Chaos, he showed up in the End Times. We're not really going to go over End Times lore because that's garbage, but it'd be cool to get a cavalry-based lord. I know, yeah, we've already got that with Bruckner, but it would be just interesting to see other forms, you know, specialized characters. And I could imagine Kurt being a lord rather than a hero, meaning that you'll have a cavalry-based legendary lord with his own theming. What makes him really interesting, really, is that he is just one of the most proficient fighters. He's old, right? And I know I've said most proficient fighters for Marius, but keep in mind, when a character gets elevated, like Marius, like Kurt, it's because they're the best of the best. He's led armies to Kislev, to Araby. Pretty much wherever the Empire needs him, he'll go. And I think this works out quite well, because he doesn't need to have a start position. He can easily just be a lord that pops up for a series of quests, so each Empire faction could end up picking it up. Obviously, there'd be priority to Karl Franz, if you're playing Karl Franz, but if you're playing as one of the others, you should also have access to him. Lore-wise, he's got access to the Solon Runefang Grudge Settler, because Solon isn't really a thing anymore. It's been destroyed for quite some time now, and it makes sense to provide such an important general, an important blade. But he's also got Krieglust, one of the largest grey mares that you'll ever see. Very powerful horse. He's got such a great model too. This was metal, but you could also pick him up in Finecast. Looks really cool. And in general, I think a lot of people want the big names. Actually, he had a model in 6th edition too, I think. Yeah, he did. I just looked through one of my boxes and I found it. See, I knew I had him somewhere. It's still very odd that we don't have like a lot of big names for the Empire just yet. Boris is coming, but we're still missing quite a few. And I feel like this is a character that people have been asking for a long time, and the benefit here is we've got character packs as a thing now. It's weird that Creative Assembly haven't explored this prior, but hey, better late than never, right? But it's very odd that the Empire is still missing quite a lot of characters like this. Alongside Kurt Helborg is another big name, Ludwig Schwarzhelm, also known as the Emperor's Champion. He is Karl Franz's personal bodyguard, and yeah, he's the battle standard bearer. I mean, like, everyone loves a BSB. And since Creative Assembly have been doing flags lately, this might be the perfect time to see him implemented at some point through the form of a character pack. He is absolutely awesome. Legit, one of the best models again. There's something about the Games Workshop staff when they were making Empire models that, oh my god, it's just great. This guy's got an iron resolve. Keep in mind that he was born from like a poor family. Well, at least it was kind of expected that. We don't know too much about him. He's been tempted by demons. He's fought against beastmen. Just so much has happened to this dude, and yet he still remains incredibly loyal, fiercely loyal to that of Karl Franz, seeing him as the man that is going to lead the Empire to greatness. Now, he's an old dude by this point in the lore, like he's been active for quite some time, but the way the lore describes him is, yeah, he still fights like a young lad. Like, he still has that resolve to keep on fighting, to protect the Emperor, and to be his sword whenever needed. I think that it's about time that we saw him being implemented. Like, this is the Emperor's executioner. Anyone who needs a trial by combat needs to fight him, right? There's something about this model which just resonates with a lot of people. It's why you see it a lot during like the tournament scene now for the old world. This model is that good that people keep wanting to bring it back. I've had more hope for him being included into Total War Warhammer ever since Arbal got included. Because you can't have this character as a legendary hero without his famous banner. Right? The Emperor's standard is pivotal to the whole look. And since Arbal finally has a banner, well, this could be possible. I could see him being implemented as a legendary hero. And the idea here would be he should only be available to Karl Franz. Meaning that if you want him as another lord, if you play as Boris or Elspeth or whatever, you'd need to confederate Karl Franz to be able to get him. I think that's the best way to go, considering how much he is so fiercely tied to Karl Franz. That's not out of the question, because Tamerlan has his own special legendary hero in the form of Kasich. This could be done with the introduction of a character pack for the Empire, where a bunch of characters get introduced, and Ludwig ends up as the FLC legendary hero for the Empire. So he's only available to Franz, but it would make a lot of sense. I don't think people would be too mad about that. You're not paying for him, and he's going to easily one of the more popular characters in the whole franchise. So this guy is more of an honourable mention than anything else, but Luther Huss might be in the Lords of the End Times, represented in one way, shape or form, because we know that Nagash is getting all of his Mortarchs. The Nameless being one of them, and, well, the Nameless takes over Huss for a small amount of time. If it's the case, and this is why I want to just talk about him very briefly here, then he should also be available to the Empire as a legendary hero if he's represented like that, because, I mean, Huss is huge. We could spend an hour, 2 hours talking about this guy. He is the prophet of Sigmar. Like, this dude is faith incarnate. A lot of people would see him very similar to that of Volkmar, because obviously Volkmar is the Grand Theogenist, but Huss has been in the forefront of so many battles purely because he is a hammer. And I think that's probably the best way of explaining it. This dude is pious and very violent. And his model pretty much shows that. He's got a massive two-handed hammer, he rides on a horse, and he'll literally be in the forefront of any combat that he's needed to, especially against anything very chaotic, beastmen, the cults hiding within the Drac world. I just hope that if Creative Assembly are going to be using the Nameless as a legendary hero, we'll see Huss as an option too. I think that's really important. Again, popular characters should really be added in, and just in general, there's so many characters for the Empire that's still missing. The last character to talk about might be in the Lords of the End Times. We don't really know just yet, I guess. But Vultan, the Chosen of Sigmar, people see him as like Sigmar Reborn. Some people see him like a Mary Sue because, yeah, his story was pretty much the same in both the End Times and the Storm of Chaos. Young lad, blacksmith, fights against some beastmen, kind of gets exalted from there, ends up getting multiple models in one go, because he had like 4 models, I think. It's generally seen as 3, because it's him fighting the beastmen, him mounted, he's got Galmaraz, and then suddenly he's also fighting on top of Tyrion's horse, which is a much better barding than the normal Tyrion horse. I could see him being implemented. I don't know, like, I know a lot of people do like him, right? And I think that's quite important for some, but I don't think we should have 2 characters with Galmaraz running around, right? Unless they do him as just, like, the blacksmith form. But hey, just because I don't like him doesn't mean that he's not as important as anyone else. It's just I personally don't like this character. I do feel like everyone has a place in the Warhammer Fantasy setting, and it's only a matter of time, depending on how many DLCs Creative Assembly want to do, especially with the introduction of character packs. Who knows, maybe Vultan is a surprise for the End Time stuff, right? But it seems like they're going to focus very heavy on Ulrich, so I'm not too sure if introducing a Sigmarite is going to work. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I just want to talk about some characters today because I've been going over through my bits boxes and trying to build up some characters for an army idea that I've got. And yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Are there any characters from the Empire that you're missing? I know some people are going to say that Beast Wizard for the End Times, who is kind of cool. But I wanted to just keep it small, talk about some specific ones, because I still think that at least Kurt, Marius, Ludwig, and Luther need to be introduced in one way, shape, or form. And if Marius gets introduced, his advisor needs to be a horse. But have a great day, guys, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.